hope all is well with everyone. Let me get okay. There we go. Now it's in the green because it was. Oh, now it's in the red again. Okay. What's going on with my connection today? Okay, this is good. Great. Great. I hope all is well with everybody. I'm going to send out my shares and we're going to get started. We're going to be diving more into hormone health and restoration and understanding how hormonal balance comes through internal support and shows through externally. I know that a lot of people have the issue, as a woman specifically, dealing with painful menstrual cycles, dealing with the issues of fatigue and bloating, PMSing, being in survival mode on a regular basis, having that internal disconnection and having that show physically. And many women are not realizing it's because of a lack of internal support that they are dealing with these issues. And so instead of them reaping the benefits of what it's like when you release through your cycle and having the benefits of what your body looks like when it's not overstimulated, when it's not going through fatigue, but it's actually getting all the nutrients that it needs, you think there is something wrong with your body. And so in return, you thinking that there is something wrong with your body, you now have this overcompensation, overflow, and instability. And so, since you are lacking that internal support, you're going to be looking for it in different ways. For example, many women emotionally eat. Another way, many women sit back and they have this mindset and this mentality that has made them be able to consciously be okay with all the symptoms and the illnesses by subconsciously being trained in this space of thinking this is what all women go through. This is a part of women's life. You're going to have those hormone fluctuations, so that means you're going to have hormonal imbalances. And that is not the truth. That is just what is so common in our society that we have made it the norm. And we believe that in order for you to be a woman, you have to have a hormonal imbalance, that they go hand in hand. But they don't go hand in hand. There are millions of women who are dealing with the same issue, but there are millions of other women who are not having that issue, who are not dealing with hormonal imbalances, who are not dealing with the issue of fatigue and feeling like they're disconnected from their body and thinking there's something wrong with themselves and feeling like they're broken. I gotta plug my phone in, y'all. It's dying. Hold on. And so the fact that there are women who aren't dealing with these issues, but yet you think that there is a process that you have to go through as a woman and suffer through your hormonal imbalances is the disconnect between what your body is supposed to feel like and what society has taught you the body should be doing. And so when you look at the whole internal support system as a whole, it shows you exactly what the body is needing and what it's lacking, but it's also showing you exactly what it's going right so that you have trust within yourself when you're doing the correct habits. So when you don't have that trust within yourself and you aren't supporting the internal system, you are going to have that disconnect. So it's going to make you fatigued. It's going to make you sit here and think that you're not eating correctly, but in reality, you're not eating for your cycle phases. You're thinking that you're lazy and that you don't want to work out, but in reality, this is not the time for you to be in the gym and working as hard as you can. But instead, this is the time where you need to have more grace. You need to have more relaxation. You need to do more stretching rather than more weight training. And a lot of women, majority of women, don't know the cycle phases, let alone how to eat for them, how to work out for them, how to plan their structure of their life to be able to get more work done. And so then you're doing this consistent of hustle culture and making yourself work overtime. And this is going to have you in an unstable place. And this is going to cause you to have no type of trust within yourself, which AKA turns into fight or flight mode. And this fight or flight mode causes your internal system to go haywire because if you cannot trust yourself internally, your body is consistently panicking. So it's constantly going, okay, she's not going to give me enough calories tomorrow, so I'm going to hold on to what you eat today because we're doing a diet tomorrow. Or you get off the diet, you go back to eating the way that you were, and your body goes, well, that was cool. We did that for about a month. We were suffering. We were hungry all the time. We weren't getting enough nutrients before then, let alone on the diet. And so now, next time you go on a diet, I'm going to hold on to everything that you eat in order for you to be able to have that nutritional gain that you normally have when you're eating all the crap. Because a lot of people don't realize that they're doing more harm than good when they don't support the body and support the system, and actually knowing how to have that communication in between to, okay, I'm going to fast and I'm going to detox and I'm going to cleanse, versus, okay, now I'm going back to my normal eating habits, which still are giving me nutrients. Because people don't eat nutrients on a regular day basis. They don't eat enough fruits, they don't eat enough vegetables, they don't drink enough water. And then you go and you do a fast, for an example, and this is going to throw off your blood sugar because your body is normally in the space of you eating all day. And so when you go from eating all day to now you're not eating, your blood sugar goes, I'm going to wait until you eat. And when you do eat, we're going to spike, and we're going to spike high. So then all of a sudden now you're spiked high and you're super, super sleepy, even though you only ate one meal and you didn't even eat that much. And a lot of the times, not only are you sleepy, but you're hungry too. And then you categorize that in your subconscious mind because every time you eat, you decide you need a sweet treat, right? So now your brain goes, oh, I just need a little sugar. That's all it is. So you go, you get your favorite snack. And then now it's 2 p.m. and you need a nap, and you're trying to figure out why, because you broke your fast at 1. And it's not because you didn't fast, intermittent fast specifically, correctly. But I mean, you didn't do the intermittent fast correctly, but rather you didn't have the stabilization for the intermittent fast to do exactly what it's supposed to do, which is to release and reset in a safe space. But when you're not in a safe space before you started, you are not going to be able to release and reset in a space that doesn't make your body overwhelmed, that doesn't make it feel like it's out of harmony with itself. Because you already were out of harmony before you did the fast. And I know that there's a lot of people who are in the health space of thinking that fasting is the way for me to lose weight and to be healthy, but you're not realizing the damage that you're doing by just falling into the intermittent fasting routine and not having the stabilization with the nutrients that you need before you do this. And so it's a consistent struggle between your body, and the communication needs to be broken down so that you can get to the root cause. Understanding how emotionally, mentally, and physically they are all connected to your current state. So if you are in a state of high stress, high cortisol, you're not being able to trust yourself, you're fight or flight mode, this is a sign from your body to let you know that you have an imbalance of habits. So now it's time for us to figure out why. When you're in the state of emotionally, you're regulated. Mentally, you're feeling good, and physically, you're feeling good, as well as everything else is balanced, you're going to have that trust within yourself. You're going to be able to make the executive decisions even when they're in a space of, I'm tired and I don't necessarily want to go to the gym, but I have enough nutrients that I can make it to the gym and not feel fatigued throughout the entire workout. I'm not sitting here having hustle culture when it comes to health, because the mindset of hustle culture, when you are an average person who doesn't really work out or doesn't like the gym, you are going to have that imbalance of 1 minute you're taking care of yourself and the next minute you're not. And then you go back and it's been 6 months and you're looking back and you're like, oh my goodness, I've gained so much weight. I haven't been in the gym in 6 months. And it's not because you were lazy, but it's because you did not reinforce and reestablish in your mind to feel safe in the space of health. Because a lot of y'all still are believing that you have to have some type of diet culture, keto, paleo, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, in order for you to be healthy. That you calorie counting and restricting and starving yourself all day is the only way for you to lose weight. Diet culture makes you be in the space of instability. 1 minute you're taking care of yourself and you're calorie counting and restricting, and the next minute you can go back to your old habits. You want to look good for a trip? Do this. And then when you're done, go back to that. And that's never going to change your lifestyle to stay in a space of sustaining your health. But you're going to consistently be playing a cat and mouse game with your health. And that's not safe. Your hormones, your estrogen, your progesterone, your cortisol, your insulin, they're being thrown out of alignment because of the lack of support inside of your system. And your body is overexhausted by the habits that you have. When you follow diet culture, and a lot of people don't realize this, when you were following diet culture specifically, diet culture makes you unstable as well. Just like that, how I just broke down when you were intermittent fasting and you don't do it in a correct space. Diet culture makes your body go in panic mode as well. This is because diets are unstable with the habits. Just like I said, that cat and mouse game. 1 minute you're taking care of yourself, next minute you go back to your old habits. And your body cannot trust you in this space because it knows you're going to flip-flop. So it's just waiting for the time that you flip-flop back so we can start holding on to things again. because this is your body's way of having a little bit of nutrients that it can live off of. You're not nutritionally balanced, but you have the nutrition that's keeping you alive. So that's the same way as somebody feeding you enough calories to keep you alive, but not enough calories to keep you healthy. Because that's exactly what you're doing to your body, regardless of the size that you are and how you look on the outside. If you are not getting the nutrition that you need through the foods that you should be consuming, fruits and vegetables, that's the same thing. And we have to make the connection so that we understand why we're dealing with the mood swings, the fatigue, the inflammation, the weight fluctuation, the painful menstrual cycles, brain fog. Because a lot of women talk about they have brain fog specifically, and you're taking brain supplements and tinctures thinking that this is going to fix you, when you have to start with food. You cannot take any herb, any tincture, any supplement, and expect it to do the full capacity of what it's supposed to do, which is reverse what you have going on, without you using food as your medicine first. I know too many women who come to me thinking that I'm going to sell them some type of herbal guide, or they think that I'm going to recommend all these supplements for them to be able to supplement in their life. And when I turn around and I tell them food is your medicine first, you're not prepared to change your eating habits. And that scares you, not because it's not possible, but because you are stubborn in the space of what they have programmed into you. And I'm not here to make you get away from the programming. I'm here for the people who want to change and want to get away from the program that has poisoned them. If you believe the societal system of diet culture is working for you, go on ahead and go to Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers and go find them. Because if you're looking for a solution outside of what they're doing and somebody gives you the answer, don't argue with the person that's giving you the answer that is the fix. Go argue with the diet culture, because you don't get on Jenny Craig's or Weight Watchers website and start typing in the comment section about how it doesn't work for you and that you need to eat X, Y, and Z of fruits and vegetables. So I have people who come and they'll comment in my comment section and be like, I only eat meat and I lost so much weight. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't help your clogged arteries. That doesn't help you regain balance in your liver, your kidney, your pancreas, or your gut. Like, you're still going to be full of parasites. Like, there's a list of different things that you're not counting in the fact that you lost weight just on eating meat. Me too. I lost weight when I was doing Whole30. And if you know what Whole30 is, it's no carbs, it's no dairy, and you have a whole bunch of meat for your leanest meats for you to be able to get your calorie intake and a little bit of fruits and side of vegetables. This is the what you ate for 30 days, right? I did this in high school. I did a Whole30. I know what it looks like eating on a meat-based diet. And I'm telling you now, I was losing weight and I was feeling good right then, but I was starving every single day, starving. You're not allowed to eat as many fruits as you should be eating on a regular basis. And then on top of that, you can't season the meat. There's just a different stipulations that you have to do that make you uncomfortable. You are not comfortable in the space of not using seasonings, having bland food, eating bland vegetables, and limiting yourself on fruits that you like. And so it wasn't a sustainable place for me. And since it wasn't a sustainable place, as soon as I got done with my Whole30, you know what I did? I went with my girlfriends and we went to Logan's and we got a big bread basket, steak, side of potato, like got all the carbs that I could eat. And I ate carbs because I love carbs. I'm a carb girly, okay? And I realized once I got done with that, I started to feel bad. And it wasn't just like, oh, I feel sluggish and I'm tired, but I started to feel bad because 30 days of work out the window with one meal. That was my mindset. Not realizing that 30 days of work didn't go out the window with one meal, but that's what diet culture teaches you. It's out the door, it's out the way. You might as well just go on ahead and go back to your old habits. But when you're in the plant-based lifestyle and you're connected with your body the way that I teach people in my Balanced Body program, and specifically women because we go through cycle syncing, etc., you are not going to sit here and think because of one failure or one slip up, you're a complete failure. And I teach this to the women who understand that flow starts with you actually having things set up in place. So if you have a moment where you went out to eat and you got some French fries and you know that you've been trying to cut out fried foods, you're not going to sit here and go, well, I ate some fried food, might as well go get fried chicken on top of that. But you're going to sit back and you're going to actually have grace with yourself. And you're going to say, okay, I had French fries today and I recognize that and I understand that. So I'm not going to have French fries for the rest of the month. This was my one freebie. So instead I'm going to focus on, I'm going to flush after these french fries, make sure I eat more fruits tonight or more vegetables. And maybe along the lines of, if I'm in that cycle phase, maybe I can have a cleanse next week. Because a lot of people just jump into the whim of having a cleanse, and you don't understand as a woman that you have a certain time of the month that it's best for you to cleanse, so it sets you up appropriately for your cycle. Cycle syncing looks like you knowing your cycle phases and eating for those phases, fasting for those phases, cleansing for those phases, and doing the process consistently every single month. This is how you operate according to your body in balance, so that you not only make yourself feel good, but you're not in complete survival mode. Because like I said, when you're not taking care of yourself, you are throwing off the liver, the gut, your pancreas, your kidneys, and your adrenal glands as well, because that's a part of the brain. And so when you look at, for instance, how the liver gets disconnected, your liver is your detoxification place. This is where all the toxins that you eat go, all the toxins that are in your products, they're supposed to go there, right? But when the liver is overloaded, it cannot do its process and release correctly. So it holds on to things. And then eventually things start to leak. So now it's leaking in your bloodstream and your kidneys are having to filter it. Or it's leaking from the gut and it's leaking out into internal organs like your intestines. And over time, things like estrogen start to build up in the liver, which the liver is your detoxification for your hormones as well. So it starts to detoxify estrogen when it's in a correct space, but when it's not, it holds on to estrogen. So now you're gaining weight. Now you're dealing with a painful menstrual cycle. Now you're having all of this disconnect with your body and you can't pinpoint why, even though you've been healthy for months. Your gut is the absorption place for all the key functions and vital nutrients that you are needing every single day. So when you are not absorbing properly, you're going to have bloating. You're going to be nutrient deficient. You are going to be constipated. You're going to have cravings. And this is going to go hand in hand with your liver being able to detoxify and cleanse. And your gut and your brain are directly connected. So if your gut is off, that means your brain is off, which aka means it's going to be throwing off your adrenal gland. Your adrenal gland, which is literally your release space for your hormones. Specifically, if you are in a chaotic state, your cortisol is going to release at high numbers and high rates from your adrenal glands. When you get stuck in overdrive and being overwhelmed, so does your adrenal glands. And so then this is going to cause burnout. And I know that a lot of women come work with me and they talk about how life is burning them out, how work, children, family, and etc. And then we get into the work and the space of being balanced when it comes to their cycle and their food. And they start to feel better and they start to understand that it's not because you're burnt out from life, but it's because you're not coping correctly. And a lot of people aren't coping correctly because they use food as an emotional coping mechanism. And it makes you sick. The same way, if you are in a toxic relationship, consistently arguing and consistently putting yourself in a high cortisol state, it makes you sick. But you're doing that with yourself with stress. And I'm somebody who doesn't have any children, but I worked with children for 5 years. And I can tell you, when I was working with kids for that portion of time, before I went plant-based, I didn't understand how to regulate my body when it came to not using food as a coping mechanism, but actually understanding how to get out of a burnout space and a fatigue state so that you have rest throughout the night. A lot of people eat sugar before they go to bed, which causes you not to be able to rest throughout the night, which makes you wake up tired. This is going to throw off your body completely if you are not getting enough rest. If your body is not doing what it needs to do to reset throughout the night, you are going to be dysregulated. And when you have the disconnection from your body, you are going to be disconnected from your power source, which is more than just, oh, I wake up and I'm tired. But that is literally your spiritual and your emotional connection to your internal organs, because they have a spiritual connection. There's a reason why that around 1 and 2 a.m. your liver starts to detoxify itself. And for a lot of people who, especially me, when I used to be estrogen dominant and I used to eat a bunch of sugar before I go to bed, this is the reason why you wake up around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And a lot of people are blaming it on the fact that they think that they're having a spiritual awakening and 3 a.m. is the witching hour, so they need to go pray. But in reality, it's because your liver cannot detoxify while you're asleep because it's trying to keep you alive. You ate too much sugar, you had no stabilizers, so now you're running back and forth to the bathroom or you're laying in your bed with no ability to go back to sleep. And it's not just because you had caffeine late, but it's literally because your liver cannot balance while you are trying to sleep because it's trying to keep you alive. And the same thing with your other internal systems that are supposed to reset and function throughout the night so that when you wake up, you have energy. But when you're not releasing and resetting throughout the night, you're trying to stay alive. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Survival mode is not balance. It's not a flow. It's not harmony. It's not the right space that a woman needs to be in. Because this is describing a toxic environment. And toxicity only leads you to illness and diseases. Inflammation is the number one cause for inflammation and diseases. So survival mode tells your body, we don't have time to digest our food, so cut off the digestive tract, make it run slower. We're in danger. When you are having issues with your hormones being regulated and knowing your cycle phases, you won't be ovulating and you won't have a balanced hormone system. So then your body is saying, we're under threat. We don't need to be trying to produce a child. We don't need to be trying to find a mate. And a lot of women don't understand this when you get on birth control, specifically birth control, hormonal or not. It's going to throw off your essence of how you attract, what you're attracted to. And a lot of women, including myself during the time I was on birth control, I didn't realize until after I was off. But a lot of women realize when they get off birth control that the person that they were liking when they were on birth control is no longer their type and they were never attracted to them, but rather it's because their chemical chemistry was thrown off by birth control because it throws off your hormones. And so it's insane to think about how many people get into relationships on birth control, on any type of, whether it's IUD or you just taking the pill, and how that throws off your body so much. And women will be on it for 10 plus years and not understand what it's doing, just as long as they can't get pregnant. And for the women who are on it, for them to be able to regulate their cycle the way that they're trying to say that it's doing, I'm going to let you know right now it doesn't. As somebody who tried to do that, it doesn't regulate your hormones for your cycle. But instead what it does is further throw off your system to cause more chaos. So that way either your cycle completely stops, or you can ignore the warning signs that your body is giving you that you are developing a fibroid or a cyst. Because I was somebody who painful menstrual cycles, heavy menstrual cycles, was dealing with the issue of PMSing, could not figure out how in the world am I still in pain. I'm having to take pain pills 3 days before I start my cycle, all throughout the first 2 days of my cycle. And as somebody who is no longer taking any medications or prescriptions, somebody who has not taken birth control since she was in college, like a number of different issues, inflammation, weight gain, all the weight fluctuation has simmered down. The painful menstrual cycles, non-existent. I'm actually able to rest on my cycle and understand what the phases mean and know that during that time, if you are suffering, you didn't eat correctly throughout the month. But if you are feeling okay and you're flowing correctly and you're feeling like you're releasing so that you can get restoration, that means you were doing what you needed to do. And a lot of women work through their cycle and they work the hardest that they can, because at the end of the day, you're not recognized in the U.S. as somebody who has a uterus that sheds the lining, and it's a process, okay? This is going to cause you throughout the month to have more fatigue and less of a motivation to do things because you did not rest during the time that you were supposed to. And women don't realize this. As somebody who has worked through their cycle and been on the other side of the repercussions, I can tell the difference. I could tell the difference when I switched. And I'm telling you, working through your cycle and working as hard as you can and pushing through only makes you have a hard month. And then that hard month turns into another hard cycle, then another hard month. And it's a snowball effect of every single cycle that year being a struggle and every single month that year being a struggle. You have to stop feeling like you must do all things and everything for everybody. Because when you actually start to represent for yourself, people see the difference. People were asking me what I was doing and how I was losing weight and etc., etc. And I told them I literally, the only thing I did was go plant-based, and I started eating according to what my body needed. I didn't have to get in the gym and work out 6-7 times a week. I didn't have to sit here and do all these X, Y, and Z number of different things. I started to shift my habits and I saw a shift in my health. Getting up and getting moving started becoming part of my routine because I had goals. It wasn't just because I wanted to lose weight and I wanted to look good for pictures. But I understand when you're moving and you're flowing, whether it's walking, biking, getting on a stairmaster, etc., that helps your body internally flow as well. That's the reason why when people run 5Ks and things like that, they get runner's poop. There is a reason why. And you don't have to run a 5K, let alone a mile, for you to get through that. I think it was a Chinese medicine article that I was reading that talks about when you're feeling bloated or overwhelmed after a meal, if you feel like you ate too much, the number one thing that people do that is the problem is that they get sediment after they eat. You sit there and you wallow in it. If you're having trapped gas, and this is included because you know what babies do, they start crying because there's sediment. They can't do anything about it. So what do? You start getting movement, whether it's pumping their legs, rubbing their stomach, right? If you as an adult get up and start walking for at most 10 minutes after a meal, not only does it release your bloating, but it also helps you later on if this is like a late night meal. I mean, not late night, but let's say it's just your dinner, for example. This helps you be able to regulate yourself to get ready to go to bed. Not just right then and there because you still need to go through the digestive tract, but it helps your body not hold on to the excess bloating, gas, and all the other things that need to flow through your body to help you be digesting better. Because that walk helps you digest better. It helps things flow. So this is a big problem that people have. Just everyday thing that I talk to people about. And I was telling the people this before I started my business and everything else, that like, it's just as simple as you getting up and walking after you eat, seeing a difference. You don't have to go walk a whole mile. Just walk for 10 minutes and see how the body changes. Get moving for 10 minutes. If you are somebody who doesn't like to work out, this is a great thing for you to do. And I teach in my program all the different aspects and things that you can do to help you be able to get moving in less of a time rather than you having to walk for 30 minutes. A rebounder, if you don't know what that is just a trampoline that you can have in your house. Is amazing for you to be able to get flowing first thing in your day. It takes 10 minutes for you to be able to trigger your lymphatic system and your digestive tract so that way you have the same effect that you do walking for 30 minutes in 10 minutes of bouncing on a rebounder. My best friend got hers, I want to say maybe a year ago or so, and she was telling me about all the different benefits, and I looked into it and was looking deeper into it. And this is the one thing that they're suggesting for people who are older, because not only does it help you be able to build up that strength in your bones, in your hips, in your joints in general, because women have a lot of hip related issues as they get older, but also this allows you to have that communication with your lymphatic system early on in your day so that you're triggering it and you're stimulating it and your digestive tract as well. So if you are somebody who has an issue with going to the bathroom, that is an amazing tool that you need to add into your life. And that is something that you need to be able to incorporate in your routine because it's simple, it's easy, it's 10 minutes a day. In the morning is ideal, but if you do it at night, that's okay too, because something is better than nothing. You telling yourself that you don't have enough time for resting, specifically like I just talked about in your cycle, and you just got to push through it, is what has made so many women hormonally imbalanced and have to use food as a coping mechanism at the end of the day. Your cravings feel uncontrollable. You're tired all the time, even after you sleep, and your anxiety spikes through the roof all throughout the month, especially around your cycle. This is because you're stuck in fight or flight mode. This is a sign from your body that you are under a space of inconsistency in an emergency mode. And so you have to get into emotional regulation, like 10 minutes a day 10 minutes a day on a rebounder. A rebounder is a trampoline. You can look it up. I think it's called a rebounder for like the brand, obviously. But they're more than just like a kid's indoor trampoline. The rebounder has more, in my opinion, from what I can feel from having a trampoline when I was a kid, it feels tighter. That's what it feels like, because it's supposed to be able to impact positively on the joints. If you're older, especially because you know how the older you get, your bones get brittle. They're overworked over the years, and it's amazing for women's hips because a lot of women, we all know this. Your hips store trauma, right? A lot of women don't do enough work for their pelvic, for their hips, for their joints in general. And so That trauma can be released just by you getting on there and doing some motions. There's plenty of workouts on YouTube and etc. that help you be able to feel safe in your body and support your system completely, internally and externally. Because that's the key here. It's not just about looking good on the outside, but I want to teach you how to be able to take care of yourself internally and externally. And that's what we do in the program. Because when you have a body that says, I don't feel safe, I don't feel supported, and I can't relax because I don't trust you enough to relax, and relaxing gives me anxiety, this is going to completely cause you to have a imbalance, which is a lack of trust. And then you are going to have the hormonal chaos. And the root of all of this is because you are hijacking your health by believing in, I'm just going to say the societal system that has made us believe that diet culture is the only way for you to be healthy. That's the way I'm going to put it. Because when I name off the people who actually do it, TikTok hates that. And I'm trying to keep my account. But what I want us to really understand is, as a woman, we have to sync with our cycle, to shift our hormonal imbalances, to shift in the space of us having stability. And so when you realign and reconnect to what the body needs, my dog is sitting here panting me, you start to use food as your medicine. Food is the most powerful medicine that you should be using for internal support so that you can lead to external results, okay? So every time you were eating, you should be thinking about, especially to get yourself in the space, because now somebody who's been plant-based for 5 years, I don't have to think every single meal is my way to heal myself, but rather every single meal is something that I need to be using to get nutrients. So for example, when you eat foods full of synthetic ingredients, excess hormones, toxins, you don't know how to read your labels, your liver and your gut get weighed down. Your liver and your gut cannot trust you. So then you're skipping meals, you binge eat, or you're drinking coffee, eating tons of sugar, consuming tons of sugar, and then your pancreas becomes unstable. So this is the liver and the gut already struggling. This is the pancreas now becoming unstable. And now you're sending body signals of panic all throughout. Thank you guys for the likes. I really appreciate it. And a lot of people don't know what these signals mean, so then you ignore them. And years of ignoring them is manifesting itself in chronic illnesses. Women having fibroids, women having cysts, women sitting here dealing with an overload of weight, and then it manifests itself into diabetes. You're not realizing that you can make yourself feel safe again, but you have to start with food. You have to send the message to the body to say, I am listening, I see the symptoms, I see the signs, and so you're safe here. We are going to fix this by reversing what we have going on, restoring the process of what your health should be looking like. This is the same thing if you break a bone. You know that you have to leave the bone alone in order for it to heal. Stop putting toxins in order for the body to restore itself. You cannot sit there and put a toxin in there and then expect it to fix it. Because when you're taking medication, a supplement that you don't know what's in it, that's not going to fix the issue. You're trying to manage it, which management is keeping the issue alive, keeping the symptoms alive, keeping the disease alive. This is where emotional and physical alignment come from. When you feel safe and you can tell yourself that you're safe and your body sees that, when you stop punishing your body for being hungry and punishing your body for doing what it naturally does, you actually start to see how support actually feels and it looks, and what energy stability looks like. When your organs are supported and your hormones start to balance, you will see how your emotions stabilize themselves, so you won't be dealing with PMS. You won't be waking up super tired and can't figure out why. True alignment starts in a space where you can physically, emotionally, and spiritually no longer feel like you're at war. Because there are too many women who feel like they're at war with themselves. And then that manifests itself with you being at war with everything else externally. You have to make the connections of what is going on and how you see so many women struggling with the same thing, and then you see a handful of women not. And instead of you taking the advice from the women who are not struggling, you're taking advice from the women who are still in the space that you are. Well, I tried this supplement. Okay, what I did was I went and I got to the doctor and got a hysterectomy. If your doctor is recommending for you to have a hysterectomy, I'm going to let you know right now. If you are having a hysterectomy, it's not going to work for you. Because you're not getting to the root cause of the problem of why you need a hysterectomy now, according to the doctor. If you're having issues with you being stable inside of the gut, the liver, the pancreas, the kidneys, you're going to have dysregulation. And then on top of that, as a woman, it manifests itself a lot of different times. It manifests itself as a fibroid or a cyst. If you have a fibroid and the doctor looks at you in your face and tells you you need to get a surgery to remove the fibroid, what they're not putting is that the hidden cause behind that, under that, the underlying thing, is the fact that a fibroid can grow back, and more likely than not, it will grow back. When you are sitting here and you have a fibroid and you surgically remove it, that is not removing the problem. And so instead of you removing the problem, you are now just removing the fibroid, which is a symptom and a sign to let you know you have the issue that is not being dealt with internally. And so it grows back. Sometimes it grows multiple. Sometimes it grows bigger than what it was. Because there are too many women who have or recommended to have a surgery, and they follow the doctor, and then they turn around and they have the same problem still. And that is not because, oh, you didn't remove it correctly, but it's because you were never meant to remove it. You were there to shrink it and then release it, because they're released if you do it properly. You were supposed to release it if you do it properly. So instead of working harder, let's slow down. Let's actually start to make the connection so that we can take control of our health. But in order for you to take control of your health, you have to make the connection of being aware of what's going on. You have to understand what nutrients is and how you obtain that nutrients and sustain it. And then get into the rhythm of what your lifestyle now should be looking like. Because when you have no rhythm, you have no flow. Which means, in other words, you're going to be consistently having that static and choppy lifestyle. 1 minute I take care of myself, next minute I don't want to. 1 minute I'm going to take care of myself, next minute I hate this lifestyle. Nobody wants to do that for the rest of their life. Your body wants balance. You want rhythm. You want harmony. You want to get rid of the fatigue. But in order for you to do that, you have to actually take action and have a roadmap in order for you to sustain that. And that's what I teach in my Balanced Body program. I teach you the foundation, internally and external foundation, that help you be able to balance your hormones, support your system as a woman, and be able to cycle sync, use food as your medicine, and emotionally release. But you have to restore the trust inside of your body during that time. You can't just jump into it and say, I'm going to fast and detox the first week and it's going to fix everything. We start with our emotional, mental first, then food, then non-toxic products. In the last final couple of weeks, that's when we work on our detoxification. So that way in the next 2 weeks when I release you and I let you go and we have our follow-up, in the last 2 weeks when you've been on your own, I can see if you have sustainable habits or not. Because if you haven't sustained it in 6 weeks of working with me, then you haven't gotten the full foundation of what you need. And that is the time and the space for you to let me know what is not working. Even though we've been talking about that all throughout. I rarely have someone who says, oh, this isn't working for me, this hasn't worked for me. And if it does happen, usually by then I already have a number of different things where I've already been like, okay, I can see this happening. I've sent you this. Have you been working on this? But it's a matter of communication, because a lot of women are afraid to communicate. And because they think that if you communicate that there's a problem, then somebody is going to take your money and run with it and drop it, okay? I'm not here to scam. I'm not here to have you as a forever client. I want these 6 weeks to be so transformational that you don't even have to look my way anymore unless you are here to either get a cookbook or maybe you need more guidance and balance with a one-on-one. I saw a question. Hold on one second, y'all. Let me see. I feel dizzy, unbalanced, gut issues help. It's more than just a gut issue. If you're feeling dizzy and unbalanced, it's definitely more than just a gut issue. But the gut is the number one thing that people focus on and they use supplements for, because that's what they're promoting here on TikTok and etc. You have to look at the full body, because it's deeper than just you being dizzy and your gut being off, or you being imbalanced or your gut being off. Because it's about the foods that you eat, the products that you use. And if you miss this full live, it is going to be on YouTube. I don't know if but maybe this week. I have too many backed up, but none of them scheduled to be posted. So we'll see. So I am going to take any more questions that you guys have. And if you were looking for that full balanced body program, that's 6 weeks, it is linked in my bio. You can go check it out. If you were looking for a one-on-one and you decide that, you know what, you want to get into the program after the one-on-one, you do get the price that is in the one-on-one session applied to the program price. You can get everything with Klarna Affirmer Afterpay. If you were looking for a beginner guide into making plant-based meals, I also have that linked in my bio. You can go check that out. Any questions for me at all? The program is going to help you be able to restore your balance and have a foundation of making those plant-based meals is the first thing that we have to get into of using food as our medicine after we do our mental mind work. But that'll be like in the first 3 days, and then we'll start working on food after that. So any questions for me at all? If you guys don't have any questions, I really appreciate you guys for the likes and the comments. Thank you, thank you. If you are on my email list, you know when I go live, so that way you don't miss it. As well as you also get my Wellness Wednesday every single Wednesday. I send out a wellness email. Drop any questions that you have down below about the program. If you have any questions about health and wellness in general, if you have any questions about using food as your medicine, understanding what the gut, the liver, the pancreas, or the kidneys are doing, making any connections that are going on inside of your body, please drop any questions down below. And if you don't have any questions, I'm going to hop off. If you are watching this later on YouTube, because I do post all of my past lives on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. And if you drop any questions in my YouTube comments, I do answer them. And if you are looking here on TikTok for more help, I do have playlists on YouTube as well. But if you don't have any questions, I'm going to hop off and I'm going to take my puppers OUT. Because if I say the word, she's going to jump up and she's going to be ready to go now. Any questions for me at all? No questions. I hope that I have helped you and supported you in the best way possible today. If you see any links that are not working, or you don't see a product or a service that you were looking for, if you have any questions or confusion, please DM me. Feel free to DM me. And if not, I am out, y'all. Peace. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your Monday. I'll see you sometime this week. I usually try to go live 3 times a week.